So I've decided to do some of my videos, especially the ones where I'm just going to be talking and not really showing a lot of stuff and explaining things, to just go ahead and do some of them live. Probably won't have that many people, especially since I'm doing this just spur of the moment, and may not have any participation anyway. But every once in a while we do a live and have some people jump on here. So today's video is going to be about our rabbits. And me and my wife have made the decision today to no longer do rabbits. And there's several reasons why. But first, I'm going to talk about all the reasons that we've done rabbits and why, even though we're not going to be doing rabbits the way we used to, we may still keep a couple. Rabbits are excellent meat producers. Their meat is very similar to chicken as far as it takes on the flavors of whatever you put on it as far as seasoning. Our sauces, your methods of cooking is very similar to chicken, although I have found that it is very hard to dry a rabbit out. You can't dry it out as easily as you can like a chicken breast. So those would be, some slight differences, but other than that, pretty close. Rabbits will produce tons of meat a year. They will outcompete goats and sheep as far as, in a sense that, like, if I had a lamb and raised it up in a growing season with just like a buck and two does, I could produce more pounds of meat with that buck and two does than I could with the lamb. The reason that we're getting out of it is I had, last time I processed rabbits, I think I processed like 30 of them. And every single rabbit, me and the dog were the ones who ate the rabbit. It's just us. Rabbit is really good in the sense too that I use a lot of their organ meats to feed other animals. I'm not doing this because I've found out that the rabbits are not economically viable, especially considering with all the stuff I've done with fodder to reduce feed cost and at times not have any feed cost. So it's not like they don't, they're not, they don't pay for themselves or that they're not good. Their manure is amazing. I like that about them more than anything. That's probably the reason, if we keep any, that's why we'll keep them, is because of their manure. And we just don't need the large rabbit operation that we have. And so I'm getting rid of the majority of the rabbits, if not all of them, and getting rid of all the, most of the cages, if not all the cages. And the main reason being is it's just not a food staple like we want it to be. And we have several different, farm animals now. As I've went through and experienced things with all of the different animals that we've kept, there are other animals that are fulfilling our needs more than the rabbits. Something I will say here, if somebody's considering keeping rabbits and raising them for meat, something that you might consider is raising something that's going to be a high fat source. Just because the rabbit is very lean. And so frying it like in lard or accompanying it with bacon is accompanying anything with bacon is a win in my book. But, something to get that fat, because I have noticed that when I eat the rabbit, it's absolutely delicious. I can get full on it. I'll eat, nearly a whole half of a rabbit, or, nearly a whole rabbit if it's a smaller one. And I'll be like, golly, I can't eat another bite. But then after about 30 minutes, there's some kind of little hankering or craving, and it's because there's not enough fat on the rabbit. There's a little bit, but not a whole lot. And if you eat the organ meats and everything, you can probably get enough fat and you could probably even survive on them. The whole rabbit starvation thing came from people eating malnourished rabbits. They weren't rabbits that were properly fed or had enough forage in the wild to be a viable food source. If you've got a good, healthy rabbit, you can survive off of them. You're not going to die of rabbit starvation. But there is that thing about that if you're just going to eat the meat and you're not going to have the fat on it, you're not going to eat a lot of the fat that's on the inside of them and some of the organs, you are going to have a little bit. If you eat just like the hind legs for a meal, there's not a lot of fat on those. And you are going to have that craving of, hey, I need some fat. Now, there's a lot of things you can do, to accompany it with. If you eat a lot of carbohydrates or eat carbohydrates, or if you're not, you're carnivore, you want to get something as far as fat to accompany the rabbit. So I like doing the meat thing. Now we still, eat a lot of carbohydrates. I've tried to go carnivore several times, but my sugar addiction is just too much for me to handle. Still trying to, wean off and quit. And I'll have times where I go and don't eat any sugar at all or any carbs. But if you need something with fat, you can, sometimes it could be fruit, vegetables, rabbit and sweet potato might be good. But anyway, not to get on to a whole culinary thing with the rabbits, but just for us, as far as raising the meat, it's not a go for us anymore. I'd rather put the effort that I would in rabbits into more of the ducks, the sheep, and the pigs. Of the animals that I've raised, which, are chickens, I've tried the pigeons a little bit. I'm doing the sheep and the pigs. I've tried quail. Not very successfully. I was not very successful at quail. And fish and stuff like that. For right now, I think our best bet, especially with the Muscovy ducks, they're number one. All in my book are the ones that they're the ones I'm gonna be keeping. I think it will be a cold day in hell when I get rid of the Muscovy ducks. They've just got so many pros to them, which the rabbits do too. But considering that I'm the only one that's going to be eating them, and the dog, even though there's organ meats and stuff, there's other leftovers from other animals that I can use, for example, for the chickens and the ducks, like with the pigs. The sheep. This is where one of the main reasons I'm shifting from the rabbits is because of the sheep now. The sheep are so little maintenance, especially the way that I'm doing them, that to me, even though one buck and two does will produce more meat than, say one lamb, I can just raise more lambs. And as I grow that system, the sheep are just the way to go. For one, too, when I process them, it's all, just one animal. It will produce, let's say like 10 to 20 times what a rabbit will produce. And that's not knocking the rabbits. Like I said, I've raised, probably a couple of hundred bunnies, if not more, and put them in the freezer, and they've been great. It's just that, I don't like them as much as the lamb. I'm more of a red meat guy than a white meat guy. So if you like white meat, they're excellent. And if my wife would eat them and we could do them, as more of like a chicken substitute, I would stick with them more than, trying to get into the chicken deal or the turkey deal. That's what she's wanting to do. And so considering that my wife is interested in it and I'm normally the one that initiates all this stuff, I'd much rather have her on board and do something like chicken. So we're gonna, probably before long we'll end up getting a picker or something and start processing chickens every year. And so that's the direction we're gonna be moving in. Like I said, I'm probably gonna keep. I might even just keep one rabbit as a pet, just for the manure, just because the manure is so awesome, and there's things that you can do like worm farming. It's an excellent fertilizer. I may keep some, but the most probable is that I'm just going to get out of it completely. If I ever need extra, manure, I can always rake up some of the sheep's. I can always get, the duck and chicken. And I'm not raising your regular red wigglers anymore. So the rabbit manure was really good for that. Rabbit manure is also really good for the black soldier fly larva, but now that I can use carcasses and use coffee grounds to cover up the smell, I'm leaning more towards the black soldier fly larva instead of raising the red wigglers. So yeah, just main reason we're getting out of the rabbits. I know there's been a lot of people that's followed on the channel and have come to the channel for the rabbits, and so that's kind of sad. I don't know if I'm going to lose a lot of people because I no longer have the rabbits on there. I haven't made many videos in a while about the rabbits, is because we've kind of been leading up to this of starting to get rid of them. I posted on Craigslist the rabbits are for sale, the cages are for sale, and I've also contacted closed groups that I have and individuals just to see if they want them, because I'd rather it go to people that I know. And so yeah, that's where we're at on the rabbits. Unfortunately, we're gonna at least take a break from them for a while. We may get back into them because the whole fodder systems that I put together and all the trees and stuff that I've been raising. But the thing is all of that fodder that I've been growing applies to the other animals that I have, especially the sheep. The sheep will eat the willow, and they'll also eat the hybrid poplar. The rabbits wouldn't hardly touch the hybrid poplar. The sheep love it, and so that's just where I'm at. I'm leaning more towards the sheep. That's where we're going to be going forward, is with more sheep, and I can invest more money into that than what I would into the rabbits, because the rabbits, as far as their cages and stuff, can get a little expensive. There are people that raise them in colonies. There are people that move them around in tractors with little burrows and set up electric fence. I think all of that's great. To me, the easiest button with the rabbits has always been the cages and tractoring out the grow outs. And so, unfortunately, this is going to be the end of a saga on Hideaway Homestead of the rabbits. We're no longer going to be doing stuff with them for a while, but who knows, we may come back to it. Once we start selling the rabbits and the cages and everything, I may end up holding on to one or two just to, have for the manure, and maybe breed a doe every once in a while to have some kits, to have a little, extra meat that's close to chicken, and have some stuff for the dog. But yeah, for now, going to be getting out of it. So if you've got any questions, comments, drop those down below. If you liked the video or found any value in it, please leave a like, subscribe to the channel. And I appreciate everyone who has come onto the channel for the rabbits, and hope that you stick around, because there's a lot of other stuff besides the rabbits. And if you're still here, you probably have stuck around because I haven't made videos about the rabbits in a while. So hope that you will stick around and enjoy the stuff that I do talk about on here besides the rabbits. Hopefully, you'll find something useful, maybe something new that you want to do on here. But I appreciate all y'all watching, and we'll see you in the next one.